Pink Poodle Crafts, join the Poodle Pack. It's time to get creative and make you laugh. Make your own art today. Pink Poodle Crafts is the way.
What a good boy. Hey crafty family, it's me, and I'm back for part 2 of our mandala flower lotus thing. I don't know what to call it. So yeah, we did this one, and we used the Stamplistic stamps, or one of the Stamplistic stamps. We did that in the last video, but now I'm going to show you how to do it if you don't have these stamps. You don't want to buy these stamps, or you just don't want to use stamps. I'm going to show you how to make one of these suckers. So if you go on Google or Pinterest, Pinterest was a really good place to go. If you look up mandala silhouettes on Google, or actually Pinterest, you look up mandala silhouettes, you will find pictures of mandala silhouettes that look like kind of like stamped images. And you can download them, put them in a Word document, resize them however you want, and make and print them out onto colored paper. Now I put 4 different ones on here. These are just 4 of them, just like that. So there was literally like thousands of these. And all you need to do is take a piece of colored cardstock. And what I do is, because I don't like to waste paper, I print one of each pattern on one color, the same patterns on another color. So I have them in purple and in pink. The same ones again on a piece of teal color paper, and the same ones again on yellow. So that this way I have 4 of each style in 4 different colors. This way you can cut them out, and we could start with, we'll just do one. Now you can also print these out on a piece of plain white cardstock, and you can color them any colors you want. So you would print them out on white, and you would cut them out the way you want to cut them out, each layer, and then you would color each layer whatever colors you want it to be. So that you can make them whatever colors you want. You can go even further by taking a piece of watercolor paper that was 8.5 by 11, so it would fit in your printer, making a cool watercolor background on it, drying it completely, sticking it in your printer, and printing them out on that. You can print 4 on one piece, 4 of the same one on one piece, so that you'd have different variations in color because you used watercolor and you did a background. You see what I'm saying? There are many, many, many ways to do this. So I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did before. I'm going to start with the yellow, and I'm going to fussy cut each layer out as if it was a stamped image. But without, you know, having to buy a stamp, this is brilliant because you have way more options, and as long as you have a printer, you can print them out, and it doesn't take any color ink. You just print them out in black. Now, if you don't have a printer and have a friend who has a printer, you could send her the files with all the mandalas and maybe go over to her house and print them out or something. I don't know what to tell you there, but or take it to Staples or Office Max or Office Depot or whatever and have them printed. But as long as you have a basic printer that prints black, You can print these until your heart's content. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And you can make boatloads of these without a single stamp. That's why when I say, like I've said it before, I think my printer is my most utilized tool that I have of all the tools I use in crafting, because I think, you know, I use my printer more than anything. Because, you know, printers, you can print graphics, you can print, you know, images like this, like stamped images, and especially if it's got a scanner, then you can scan stamped images and print out bunches of them. You know, like if somebody sends you in a Happy Mail a stamped image that you really like, you can go and print it out, scan it, and print out more, so you don't have to worry about getting the stamp if you can't afford to get the stamp. I just think a printer is a very valuable piece of equipment in crafting. Of course, you have to learn how to get the graphics. I do have a video. If you search my channel, I have a video all about how to put your graphics in a Word document so that you can print them out and get the most out of your graphics. Just search my channel for Word graphics and it should pop up. It should be the first video that pops up. And there, it'll teach you how to resize them in Word. It's easy. It doesn't take, you know, you get the most out of your paper, because, like, you know, nothing sucks more than having to print one image out on an entire piece of paper, and then that piece of paper cannot be put back in the printer because, you know, like, so you might as well make sure you get the most out of it and print as many as you can on one piece, so that you're not wasting it, especially if you're using like photo paper or cardstock or something that isn't as cheap as regular copy paper. It's always a good idea. But printer is my best friend. And you don't have to have an expensive printer. You can use a cheap printer. Okay, so there's our base layer. Now I'm going to cut out this flower. I'm going to cut it out in the teal. So I'm just going to forget about the outside layer, and I'm just going to go for the scalloped kind of layer here. Now, obviously, you're not going to have, like, if you buy the stamp from Stamplistic, you might, I think they have the die to cut out at least around the outside of it. Whereas if you get an image off the internet, you clearly have to, I'm going to cut this around a little bit. You clearly have to cut it all out by hand. Not that I care to cut it out. No big deal. But that's the only downfall, is you can't buy a die that'll just cut it out for you. And it helps when you're fussy cutting to have small scissors. I like these scissors or my Fiskar scissors. The ones that are like spring action. Good times. Okay. So now we've got that. Next, I will do the, maybe I'll do the pink. And for this one, I'm going to cut this circle, this flower in here. So I'm going to cut around it so that I don't get confused by all the rest of the stuff around it. And like I said, you can do it however you want. There are several ways to do them. Each flower can be cut, or mandala, whatever it is, can be cut in several different ways, I'm sure, and put together several different ways. It just depends on what you're interested in doing and what look you want. But I didn't want to show people how to do it with the stamp. I usually like to show an alternative if possible, because not everybody has the money to buy the stamp, and I understand that, believe me. So I like there to be another way it can be done so that nobody's left out. Unless you don't have a printer, then I can't help you. That I can't help you with. But I assume that most people have a printer. And if you don't, you know somebody who does, who probably wouldn't mind printing them out for you. All right, and then the last one, I'm going to cut this little inner flower. So we're going to go in there and I'm going to cut around it so that I don't get confused. Sometimes once you get cutting, it's like with all this stuff around, you end up cutting the wrong thing and then you have to do it over again. So it's just easier to cut around the circle. So I'm going to cut that flower out. And the cutting takes, oh, well, I've been on for 12 minutes. So yeah, 10-15 minutes it should take you to cut it out. Unless you're speedier than me, which you might be. You probably would be. Or you don't have to cut out 4 layers either. You could just do 3 and this would be fine. You know what I mean? You don't have to do 4. You can also get the kids involved if they're old enough to use scissors and show them where to cut. Have them sit there and cut them out, like if they're teenagers. Or just sit in front of the TV and or listen to your favorite podcast or what have you and do all your cutting. I used to like fussy cutting until my arthritis got worse. I used to actually kind of enjoy it. And then my arthritis got worse and I don't like it as much as I used to. And there we go. Now, obviously, you can use different colors than me. I like to use all kinds of funky colors, not just, you know, you can do it more where you use like just different shades of the same color, different yellows, or maybe 2 different colors in different shades. It's kind of up to you. Obviously. Okay, so before I glue anything together, I'm going to take the marker and do what I said. You can use a Sharpie. In fact, I'll use a Sharpie. And you could just go around the edges just so that you get, and I don't care if I draw on the glass, just so you get the edges of all your pieces. Cleans right off the glass with some alcohol. Easy peasy. Fun, fun, fun. Okay. Take a spurt of alcohol and wipe it away. All right. Hard part's over, except for when we put the gems on, and I can't stand when the gems act up. But I'm going to take some of the pops. We're going to start with this one. We're going to put all our little pops on. Put them around. Pop dot thingies. Doesn't have to be perfect. Put that one on the wrong place, but here, I'll cut one in half. Okay. Exactly the same as before. Just peel it all off. In that video I told you about that you can look for on my channel, where I teach you about resizing the images in Word, I also teach you where to get things off the internet, like images. And that'll be true for getting these. You can go to Pinterest or Google, and I show you how to right click on the image and download it to your computer. So it is beneficial for checking that out. You might learn something that you need to know. Pop that on there. Get some more little poppers. This one I could put here. But anyway. Good enough. Now, obviously, you can resize these as big or as small as you want them to be, keeping in mind that if you resize them too big, the black outline may get fuzzier and not look as nice. And if you make it too small, it might be really hard to cut out. So I would say whatever this size is, it's about 3 inches, and this one's 4 inches, I think, or close to 4, not quite 4 inches, 3.5, a little bit over 3.5 inches, and this one's 3 inches. I wouldn't go any more smaller than like 2.5 inches at the smallest when you're sizing them, because it might be hard to cut. But I'm imagining that's how you would make your, if you were making the pins like I was talking about, you would want them to be a little smaller. So 2.5 inches is probably good for a pin. And I'm sure Stamplistic has videos on that, maybe, because all the ladies that worked for Stamplistic had the pins on. So I'm assuming they have somewhere that shows you how to make them on their website or their Facebook or something, YouTube. Like I said, I haven't checked into it, what they have yet. Okay. You can even make a 5th layer and cut out the very center flower. And you could go as really far and in depth with this as if you want to. You know what I mean? You can cut every single little detailed layer and make it thick. And some of them with their stamps, they had examples of that. But there you go. It looks just like the one I stamped out, don't it? So now we're going to add some sparkle and rhinestones. And I may omit the rhinestone adding just because it takes so long. Because I'm sure you gather how to add rhinestones. Unless I can find some that aren't a nightmare to pick up. But I got my glitter. And I can go around now and add my glitter layers. And you can just decide. You can add stickles or Winkostella, and you can kind of decide where you want it to be. Or you can use regular glitter, sprinkle it on. At the expo, we used regular glitter. I don't mean to be quiet. I get in the zone. Alright, and then we can just add some. I'm just adding it wherever. Okay. Got our stickles on there. Let's see. I can at least get a center gem in there for the top part here. If I can get it to flip over. And then, if I could take all these little blue ones and they would actually look kind of cute in there. Maybe I'll do that just for ha-has. Ugh, every one of them falls over. It's a nuisance. But these are a little bigger, so they're just slightly easier to flip over. But you can do your gems, however you need to, however you want to. You can not put gems on it at all if you don't want to, and you can just put glitter. It'll all be fine either way. Or you can put like, instead of using actual rhinestones, you can use stickles and make, three-dimensional little rhinestone-esque dots on it. That'll work just fine. Cute. That worked out cutely. And let's see. I might do like a clear on each one of these, not this big. But I'd have to pick out some clears, and we all know how much trouble I had picking out some clears before that were all the same size. I don't think I have enough that are all the same size. I have 2. I probably do, but 3, 4, and we need, ouch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Holy moly. Come on, jackass. Really? Come on. Nuisance. Nuisance, I tell you. I guess I do have enough. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alrighty, so we'll put them all here. Come on, jackass. Almost done, if it'll get off my thing. Might help I glue there. Looky there. Look how pretty. See that? Now that is some prettiness right there. And that's what you can do making this using your printer rather than stamps. So here's what stamps and here's what printer. No difference. No difference aside from the color paper. And this, you know, obviously the style is different, but you know, you can find some that are almost very similar to that. Very pretty. Very, very pretty. So we're going to have one more part to this video series of making these mandalas. One more way to do it. And again, you just need a printer. So this is part 1, this is part 2, and then we're going to have a part 3. So stay tuned for that. And don't forget, you can win this one here by going to part 1 and following the instructions in the video on how to win it. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you will stay tuned for part 3. Make sure you do what you love and love what you do, and be nice to people. I'll talk to you in a few seconds in part 3. Bye.